What do you make, Charlie, of Manchester United's performance last night?
Just what we're used to, I guess. They've been good for the last few weeks. They have the international break probably come for the wrong time for them. But I look at it now more than anything is that you go against 10 men, that's fine. With players, it's sometimes tough to break down. It is tough against 10 men, but players have got to take accountability. It's all right hiding behind the managers, but you're on the pitch, you've got leaders, characters, and the biggest eye-opener, and I think the alarming bit was how much they missed and relied on Matheus Cunha.
Jamie?
Yeah, he talks about complacency. I think it's on the manager. That last night was really and truthfully, you look at the performance, massive chance for them to get themselves up into the top four against a decent Everton side. They go down to 10 men and you lose the game. That's on the manager. Gary Neville touched on it there. They're playing 5 at the back. And when they go down to 10 men, the first thing the manager should do is put on an attacking player and take a centre-half off. You do not need 3 players at the back. And I think he's out of his depth. And we've been hoodwinked into thinking that over the last month or so they've had a couple of decent performances, a couple of decent results. He's miles off it. Miles off it. That's look, Charles, I agree with you over the complacency, with the players as well. But a manager to not change his tactics when they've gone down to 10 men and you leave 5 at the back. But that's ridiculous.
But you say hoodwinked on the results that they've obviously had. That's because they've been so below par since obviously he's come in, and we talked about him and his tactics, this kind of stuff. However, the players have to contribute to the match day result, don't they? And I get they're going out there, but we've done as players, you go across the white line, now you're out there. Yes, he's chosen a team and picked the 11, the tactics, but you've still got to go and perform.
But you still need the gaffer to help you out, don't you?
Yeah, but they've
if you're a striker and you're looking over at the gaffer, you're going, they're down to 10 men, I'm still playing up front on my own. You're saying, gaffer, help me out, put someone up with me.
Of course, but Premier League players surely use their IQ that, right, we can move forward at least. We know how hard it is to break down a block of 10 men behind the ball, of course, but surely it's Manchester United. Or, however, are we now looking at it because of them results where they've done well the last 4 or 5 games? Are you thinking, right, they've made progression? Or is it just going to be the same old Man United?
I think the manager's so arrogant, Tom. He's so arrogant in his formation that he is so hell-bent on saying, I'm playing 3-4-3. This is the formation that works for me. I'm not changing my philosophy, regardless of what happens. A game changes. Over 90 minutes in a game, in-game management as a manager, you've got to adapt. Things happen. Things change. You might have a player sent off. They have a player sent off. Use the numerical advantage that they had last. They didn't use the advantage that they had because they had 3 players standing at the back marking 1 player. So it was pointless having Everton down to 10 men because they didn't do anything about it.
There was someone there, Charlie, messaging on WhatsApp saying that why did they need 3 centre-backs against Tierno Barry on his own, which I think is the point is one of the points Jamie's making. I remember you saying, Charlie, that when Manchester United picked up their form, we weren't talking about the formation anymore, like we were every single day, it seemed, when they weren't doing so well. But, and the formation has been working lately, but they haven't been playing against 10 men.
No, they haven't. And I guess that's where you go on about where you have to adapt to certain...
It was Chelsea, I suppose.
Yeah, but you have to adapt to certain scenarios, right, and certain situations. But regardless, you've both 3 centre-halves against 1. Well, surely they've got enough about them, enough experience in that back 3 to go 1 in front, 1 in behind, and then you just tuck in. But you just move into the position.
Shaw's got a lot of England caps. De Ligt has got a
well, that's what I'm saying.
lot of caps. They do have a lot of experience. They've got Bruno Fernandes caps. That was not a young team who needed the manager to say, you've got to press forward.
That's what I'm saying. So surely you can make them decisions on the pitch also. Experienced players. Yes, you got the manager. I'm not saying go against the manager. Of course not at all times. But you can feel it on the pitch. You can change it. Them leaders on the pitch should be able to make changes and make decisions for themselves during the game. Yes,
I think they're scared though, Charles. I think they're scared. I think the players at Man United are scared to make decisions.
But what's that say about Man United then, Jay?
Well,
like, what's that say? If you've got players, this is why the spotlight's on Matheus Cunha, because he's someone that's there carrying the badge, carrying the Man United shirt, and playing like a Manchester United player of old. Yeah. And now you've got players on the pitch that are scared to make decisions. That's ridiculous.
Well, Bruno Fernandes was on the pitch.
Yeah, but Bruno Fernandes, he's not. It can't be a one-man band, right? You've got to have quality around you. You've got to have players that can make a difference, and there's, finding spaces, finding gaps. When I was watching the game last night, not only did they have 3 at the back, but there was moments when it goes out to the winger, Ahmad's a good player, by the way, and I like him. He was decent last night, and he'll have a go. But when he's turning back, his pass is 20 yards backwards instead of it being 5 yards backwards or 5 yards inside where you can keep the pressure. When you watch Bournemouth play, Tom, they're a brilliant example of how to pin teams in. They'll pin you in. They keep getting crosses in the box. They head it out. There's someone on the edge of the box, chest it, back out, another cross. They keep the pressure on. Man United, they don't keep the pressure on you. They let you out because they haven't got the belief to go and press high because they're so scared about getting done in behind because they've got no pace at the back that they don't go and let players go in and stand on the edge of the box. When you watch it, it's unbelievable. The gaps between the three centre-halves standing at the back and the midfielders of Man United. They're scared. Go and step in, take a risk and believe in yourself that you can pin a team in and eventually the chances will come. But they have one cross, gets headed out, Everton on the break.
When we've been talking the last few weeks, Jamie, about Manchester United getting into the top four, and we've been asking the viewers that as well, we've got Manchester United fans on to talk about it, we'll be getting ahead of ourselves.
Well, look, I mean...
Be honest. Like, I'm saying yes. No, I'm saying yes because of...
You think they can get in the top four?
No, I'm saying we're getting ahead of ourselves because of the reaction of them, and that's just a quick reaction because they've won back-to-back games and some teams are dropping off. You can't. I'm not saying you can't forget about last season. They was really poor. They underachieved massively. So you're not just going to flip it. It's the same manager. They've signed a couple of new players, etc. But for me, I think that's not happening. That's getting way ahead of themselves.
I think the Premier League, when you look at it, I mean, look, Aston Villa have picked up and all of it because everyone was kind of forgetting that Aston Villa are a really good team with a top manager. So, I think there's clubs there you don't expect to maybe last till the end of the season. Man United need to kick on, and you're seeing Liverpool down there. Are they going to stay down there? Tottenham have dropped away. So, do I think Man United get in the top four? No, I don't. But I didn't think they were a million miles away from it.
KG, good morning to you. Just how embarrassing a defeat was that for you last night? And I mean because it was against 10 men, nothing to do with Everton.
Well, no, the embarrassment is the 10 men. It's when it happens, you think you've been given a gift, their players are fighting, and you're like, well, we have to win this game. It went from anything can happen to there's no excuses for a loss here. Like, similar to what the manager said, and I think, like, you're both on the money when you talk about it, like, O'Hara, Austin, when you say who's it on, I'm going to give the blame both sides. I don't think there's nothing about when you talk about the three centre-backs, that's not really the issue. It's the fact of intensity. We go into games and I'm not seeing what we're looking for. Their players are fighting and we're scratching our heads. We can't be doing that. So I can't believe what happened yesterday. I'm still trying to get over it, really.
KG, do you think that I said that the spotlight's on Matheus Cunha? He's the first Man United player signing that's come in and looked like a Manchester United player. But I think he's the one that ignites the speed, the tempo, gets everybody else behind him. And yesterday was so highlighted that without him, Manchester United just go back to the same old from what I guess we've seen for the whole time Amorim's been in charge.
No, I disagree. I think it's more like with Man United, very early in the game, you'll kind of tell what type of team we're going to be today because we're Jekyll and Hyde performances. One day we decide we're going to press. You've seen us against Liverpool. You've seen us in really difficult games when we look after it. Even the Tottenham game, you saw good intensity. Yes, we lost it at the end, but then some days we turn up in games like this. This kind of reminds me of, it felt like Grimsby again. Like, it felt that level of embarrassment. What are we doing? And these are pros. You can't tell me because Matheus Cunha's not there, we're not delivering. But then when you can question the manager, it's the wing-backs. Mazraoui getting forward to be your attacking player, you're not getting anything from him. And Dorgu looks lost as well. He should have made changes there, and he waited to second half. When Mason Mount came on, we saw a bit more, but it's just everyone was bad. And I think what Gary Neville was saying in regards to they believe for something and they're not there yet. Mentally, they're not there yet.
KG, do you think like the manager is out of his depth though? Like when you're managing Man United, in-game management, whenever I see him, he makes mistakes, he gets things wrong.
Well, I would say with personnel, in-game management is questionable, I can't lie. But then 1 minute we're praising him because he's kind of getting it right and the tactics are work. When we're playing with intensity, no one questions free at the back. When we're winning those games, but I feel like he's very emotional. He scares me with his audio bites when he says, I'm worried about us becoming what we were last season, or I'm worried about. He shows confidence, then he shows fear. And it's hard to get behind him because you don't know if he's coming or going. This is a guy that said he would walk one day, maybe. We can't hear that. We need him to be strong, lead from the front, and the players need to buy into him. And I think certain times you just don't know. Emotional guy.
But KG, you say about being intensity in the games like against Liverpool and against Spurs, but that's a given. Man United going to Anfield, got a result. You expect Man United to go there and play full intensity, full flat out. And picking up on your comments on Amorim, he sees that team day in, day out. Yes, he's the flagship. Yes, he's the manager. He's the one who picks the teams, right? But maybe he's just saying he's seeing little bits of what happened last year and made them slip into the position he had. Not a sound bites for everybody else or for the fans, etc. If anything, it's more of a worry for me if I was a Man United fan looking at it thinking, well, if he's still seeing signs of last season, well, he needs to cut that out straight away.
And I don't know what to do because we got rid of the players. Apparently, there was, the bomb squad, as they called them. We got rid of the bad eggs. And now you're saying, well, these are all your guys. So there's no excuses. The manager's job is to get the players up for every game. But then the players, once they cross the line, as you guys said, I haven't experienced it. But once you're on the pitch, it's up to you guys. And I saw two players, they're fighting each other to make sure no one gets in behind. Where's that from Man United? That's it. We should be more embarrassed that you did that. You delivered that performance in front of the home fans. No fan deserves to spend their money to go and watch their team, and then this is what they're seeing. It's a lack of fight, a lack of accountability. You can't tell me because of the system I wasn't gonna be there, or I'm not gonna, get a shot on target. We took 20 shots, 5 on target. I can't remember the 5 on target.
In Amorim's defence, in terms of getting more attacking players on the pitch, on the bench, I mean, Mason Mount is, an attacking midfielder. He's not. He's not going to score a lot of goals, etc. He was on the bench and he came on. The only other player on the bench I would say was an attacker was Shea Lacey, who's a youngster, and he's, okay, fair enough, you could give him a chance. It happened with Rashford years ago and that worked. But is there actually a lack of depth up front? You've certainly got quality up front in that front three of yours, but are you lacking depth now that Højlund's gone, now that Rashford's gone, etc.? Garnacho.
Well, this is the thing. This is the manager lives and dies by his decision. I'm not going to say I miss Garnacho, and Rasmus weren't lying it up. But we have to say, now Shesh goes out and you've lost Cunha, all of a sudden you're looking at the bench and Xerxes not been a high volume scorer anyway. I don't think he even classes himself as a true 9. So you're wondering where the goal's coming from. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not like everything doom and gloom. In Buemo, he's hit the ground running. I think he's been better than Cunha. And he had there was little moments yesterday, but I think we just have to be honest and say we were disgraceful. And what scares me the most is we got Crystal Palace next. So we're going to go into the cycle of it's going to be bad for Man United for a few weeks. We're a yo-yo club. That's what we're consistently inconsistent. That's who we are at the moment.
KG, did you, going into that game last night, we're going about the players' complacency and all that. What did you honestly expect from last night? Do you expect to win?
Well, I had a great week because obviously O'Hara, his team lost massively. And I was like, this is the week. Liverpool lost, City lost. I was like, it's our time. Top 4 near Christmas. I'm starting to dream about, we spoke before and we're talking about, can you get into Europe? And I'm looking at you definitely now.
So you was complacent, mate, yeah? So you was complacent.
I think that was the answer. KG, we'll just end with a quick one. Did you think it was a red card for Idrissa Gueye?
Absolutely. Shouldn't be in the game, mate.
Well, it didn't help you in the end. KG, great to speak to you. Thank you.
You were particularly frustrated during the commentary about Amorim's reaction to the situation and not maybe the substitutions, the positioning of players.
Well, look, we can start with the manager, but I think we must start with the players. You have to, when you're playing football at the Premier League, I'm not even going to say at Manchester United, I'm just going to say at Premier League and professional level, you've got to adapt to the circumstances within the game. In the first half, I mentioned it looked as if they didn't know, they'd not planned how to play with 10 men. And I'm probably, to be fair, letting them off the hook, the players there, with regards to, well, it's pretty damn obvious, isn't it, how you play with 10 men? You shift the ball you shift the ball quicker, you shift it from side to side, you switch play, you stretch the pitch and make it as big as possible, and this pitch always feels big at Old Trafford. You make sure that you literally run the other team ragged. Manchester United kept, at times, 3 and 4 and 5 players maybe not behind the ball, but maybe behind, well, just a one Everton player with Barry up front. The three at the back had to form differently. They had to change. Now, that doesn't mean to say, I know that Ruben Amorim has said he'll never change his three at the back system. I get it. But I'm sorry. Luke Shaw has to go forward and play like a left winger. He has to. Bring Euro round with De Ligt. Make sure that they mark Barry. Snuff him out. One of you pick him up. Get tight. One of you drop off behind. Make sure he doesn't get the ball. And Casemiro and Bruno Fernandes move forward. Make sure you don't play again too deep. And the rest of the players, to be fair, make sure you try and create some form of overload. I mean, I played here as 10 men a lot of times. And quite simply, you would never see me back. I'd be literally as wide as possible with either David Beckham or Antonio Valencia or Cristiano Ronaldo on that right hand side, and Ryan Giggs and Dennis Irwin or Patrice Evra would be as wide as possible on this side. And you'd leave basically Scholes in there, literally switching play, which Bruno Fernandes can do, and you'd have that four in midfield of Everton charging from side to side, and eventually you work them, you fatigue their legs, you get bodies in the box. Manchester United left one man up front all night in Xerxes. They had to have two up. Just forget the two up from a point of view of changing your system, Ruben. Two up from a point of view of when there's crosses going in the box, you've got presence. You know, I know that Tarkowski and Keane, what you're trying to do with Tarkowski and Keane, he's not asking necessarily for players to go and beat them in the air, because they're better than probably Manchester United's players that were on the pitch. What you're asking to do is occupy them. You're occupying the centre-backs. And I'm going to go back and say, let's pretend that's Cole and York. They're not going to beat two giant centre-halves in the air, but they can occupy the centre-backs, which means that someone else can maybe make a run in and get the goal. Casemiro or whoever. And I just thought United was so pedestrian and so negative, having gone to 10 men. You've got a flood forward. It's got to be like the Alamo when you're playing against 10 men. And they still kept this three at the back. All right, Luke Shaw ambled forward a little bit. I was particularly harsh on Luke Shaw, less so on Euro, because you're always a centre-back. Luke Shaw's not a centre-back. Luke Shaw is a left-back who can go forward and go forward well, and actually's got a good left foot. So you be the one who dominates and goes forward on that left-hand side. Euro comes round a little bit. You don't want him on this right-hand channel in the ball, which we saw for so much in the second half. And he's just playing passes. He's not capable of doing that. That's not his game. So I was harder on Shaw. I thought Shaw was so disappointing in the second half. I thought the substitution, and I'm riffing now, in no particular order as I feel it. Bringing Dallow on that far side and blocking that side off. I know Dorgu was having a tough night. He wasn't great at all. But at least he's got a left foot. But putting Dallow on meant that all of a sudden that he's having to turn back the way on his right foot and play around. Now, he's a capable player, Diogo Dallow. He's not a left wing back though. He's not a left winger. He's finding himself as a left winger. Dallow is not a left winger. And I just think the only player that I could say that maybe had anything about him, Ahmad showed a little glimpse of something. It was nowhere near good enough. That was a really bad night for United. It was an embarrassment at times.
Have you touched on part of the issue, though, a personnel issue, perhaps? They weren't able to have those substitutes to bring on that could... You mentioned the likes of Ronaldo and Beckham and Valencia. They don't have those players available to them all.
I wasn't referring to those players in terms of quality, and they should be... I was referring about the actual positions that the players who were out there should have been in. Look, they've got injuries. Šeško's injured, Cunha's injured, but forget that. There's no excuses tonight, by the way. I'm not entertaining that one bit. You know, you think about Everton's squad, they lost Seamus Coleman after 1 minute, 2 minutes. They had a man sent off. No excuses. Let's not start that game. I think we need to be very careful. Look, United have got players missing, but so has every other club. Everton dominated them with 11 men and with 10 men in a different way of domination, but they dominated them through their fight and their spirit. I thought that was a Manchester United team tonight who have come here off the back of a decent run, a decent sort of international break between October and November. And maybe we've all fallen into that trap of just thinking United are back. There's a bit of expectancy. They're going to go up to 4th or 5th in the league, level with Villa. They're going to be 21 points. They're going to be ahead of Liverpool. We're all thinking it. Let's be clear. Let's be honest with ourselves. Why wouldn't we think it? You're playing against Everton, who we ordinarily, to be fair, beat here. And it's complacency. And complacency will kill you. The minute that you think, as a football player, that you just have to turn up on that pitch and you're Manchester United and you can play, or any football club, you're done. And they've turned up tonight off the back of an international break. They've had a full 5-6 days break all together. It's been perfect. You couldn't ask for any more. There's no international football that's interfered with this build-up. There's no European football for them. They've had the perfect amount of time to really prepare for this match. And it's as if they've imagined in their heads they're going to be in the Champions League places. And they've thought that maybe before the game. And it just smelt of complacency. From minute one, actually, they weren't at it from the beginning. I mean, that first 12 minutes before Idrissa Gueye got sent off, Everton were by far the better team. Quicker to the ball, sharper, more positive, looked have more intent about them. And that is a bad one for United. And look, I actually think they've been a lot better in the last few weeks. I think that probably takes us back to Brentford away. And you can't go from here, good standards, and the fight that they showed in certain games in that period between Liverpool, the Liverpool game, the Forest game, the Tottenham game. You can't go from that to that. It erodes confidence. It erodes trust. It erodes trust. We're trying to build a trust in a manager. We're trying to build a trust in a team. And tonight, the fans have left that game. I mean, they booed collectively at the end. It was a loud, and rightly so. I mean, that was a really poor performance, but it erodes trust. And tonight, you lose a lot again. It's almost as if you've gone sort of like 2 or 3 steps forward. Everyone's feeling a little bit better about themselves, and you've just gone back to the start again. And look, there's a long way to go. And to be fair, it's a tight league, and everyone's being inconsistent. Everyone's beating one another. There's only Arsenal really that are demonstrating a level of consistency that you would say is really acceptable by all the top clubs. So there'll be, opportunities to correct it and put it right. But you can lose football matches, but you can't lose them like that. You can't lose them like that. That's nowhere near good enough. It's not. Do you know something, Seb? You sometimes getting the balance right. You're a United fan, and you're trying to do a commentary where you're basically watching a football match, but you end up getting angry. You're angry because you've had that lived experience of being out there on that pitch and come on. You like that? You're thinking, come on, go forward. Just do something with intent. Do something like you mean it. And so much in that second half you could look at and think it was wrong. And sometimes you can't put words around it. You can't explain it. You're just watching it. And it's apathy. It's apathy. And look, you sometimes get emotional as you talk as a fan, and sometimes you can get that balance wrong. But like I say, from a point of view of watching the other team play, you look at Everton and got full of admiration for them and deserved everything that they got tonight. But from a United perspective, you're thinking that you want your team to sort of just lift and go and grow and take the pressure off the manager, and that just takes it back. And we're at the start of the winter straight, the period of the season that I used to love most. Get the international breaks out of the way. You've got 10 or 15 games now without reply. Without international breaks, without a lot of European football at moments during this period. It finishes obviously in December. So it's a really enjoyable period of the season where the Premier League really gets into its stride. And you've got to set off on that straight really, really strong. And Everton have done that tonight, and Manchester United haven't.
Everton pulled off a stunning 1-0 victory over Manchester United at Old Trafford, despite playing with 10 men for almost the entire game. The chaos began early. Everton captain Seamus Coleman was forced off with an injury, and moments later, the match took a bizarre turn. Midfielder Idrissa Gueye was shown a straight red card in the 13th minute after slapping his own teammate Michael Keane during a heated argument. VR reviewed the incident and upheld the decision, leaving Everton facing more than 75 minutes with a man down. But instead of collapsing, Everton responded with grit and determination. In the 29th minute, Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall produced a moment of brilliance, cutting through midfield and smashing a powerful shot into the top corner to give Everton the lead. From that point on, it was all Manchester United. They dominated possession, created chances, and pushed relentlessly for an equalizer. But Everton's defensive discipline was exceptional, and goalkeeper Jordan Pickford made crucial saves, including a late stop from Joshua Zirkzee's header. When the final whistle blew, Everton celebrated a historic win, their first league victory at Old Trafford in 12 years, achieved in the most unlikely circumstances.